I guess we're doing the video today on the new items in Season 10, and then some of the items that got changed, got added passives, their power removed, stuff like that, and when I build them and when you want to build them and if they're shit. So we'll start off with a few from last year, because they are the ones that are important. They're the ones that got changed, which would be these items right here. Now, there is quite a lot of them, but I just thought it's important to talk about those ones and why they are different to the new ones. That's all these items right here. These are all the old ones down here. So Gladshield is now be able to be built by physicals and magicals. It got its power removed though, which makes it a bad first item. The base power before used to be great for solo laners. In support, you don't really want to go at first. The problem with it is that low power, it procs off prots, right? You have no prots level 1. The power used to carry the item early on. So you want to build it second or third when you've got like a Thebes or a Cloak online, in my opinion, or a Magi's or a Binding, any of those. Just build it second, but it's definitely a good option. I like it on Shiva a lot. I don't like it on gods like Herc or Fenrir, but again, Shiva, you could probably build it on other warriors, like you probably build on Nisha if you wanted to. I know they're an assassin, but it's a good item. Just I'd go at second or third. Wingblade got a massive buff where it's now an aura. This item used to be really selfish, because it used to give you slow immunity on a slow. Now it's really good against gods like, let's say, Ganesh, where Ganesh drops a big ult on your backline. You get a Wingblade proc when you run through it. Your entire team, they're out. They're out the cage, and that's just your Wingblade counters Ganesh ult in a way. So this kind of makes Sprint redundant as an item. If, for example, let's think about Cupid, right? Cupid ult as well. People used to sprint it. Just go Wingblade instead. It's a very cheap item. So it's one of those items you actually can counter build. This will be one of the most bought items in Season 10 of SBL. I'm almost certain of it. So that again, another great item, but again, a third or fourth item, you can't really build that first. Pestilence just got an extra passive where it gives bonus anti-heal. This kind of item will be great against gods like Terra and Hell. It's really high base prot magical base prot. It gives like insane anti-heal. I think it's the largest item anti-heal wise, as long as you're around a certain amount of gods. I'll double check that because I might be wrong, but it is a massive amount of anti-heal. It just doesn't feel nice to build, but it feels worse for the enemy to play against, so it's definitely good to buy. Runeforged is got its power removed and can now be built by... Is it anyone? Maybe it's anyone. I don't even actually know that. Maybe it's only built by physicals. I've only built it on warriors so far. For example, on Horus and Hercules, who engage with their 2s. This item is obviously when you hit someone with a hard CC, it drops like a circle around you, and any enemy god in that area takes 10% more damage. So it's kind of like a mini Sunder in a way, where if you're 2ing someone, they're going to take way more damage. So like if you Horus 2 a tank, you shred their procs by 30. If you've got Binding, it's 55. Then you make them take 10% more damage, and as you think about it, it's kind of crazy. And the way to think about percentage damage increase, in my opinion, is if you think about the maximum health output, maximum health of a tank. Let's say you're killing a Ymir with 4,000 HP. Carries are doing 10% more damage to him. Well, 10% of 4,000 is 400. It's a lot of damage, in the long run. The amount of damage you're reducing your team having to do is huge. The item's definitely good. It's actually an okay first item because the HP 5 on it carries the item. I think I've got a few games on stream where I've gone Horus or Hercules with it and run around and just healed a little bit and fought a little bit, and because it's got good power on it. Definitely good to build, but I don't even know if you can build on Guardians. It's kind of troll now that I think about it making this video, but I'll move on. Next is Berserkers. This item is the weakest item, I think, this patch for me. I don't, even on gods like Onher and Erlang support that I play, I don't think it's that good. The lack of power on it means that even with all the attack speed it gives you in the world, why does it matter, man? What does it matter? It's like, it just gives you a bunch of attack speed, but you've got no power, so you're attacking fast, but you're hitting for nothing, so it doesn't feel very good. And taking trades, for example, with like gods with junglers who have the strongest role in the game right now, you're not going to win them. So you're just taking trades for no reason at that point. Not a great item. Probably one of the worst out of these lot, in my opinion. Gem of ISO is one that I have not built yet, but I think it's pretty good on some gods that need CC. For example, I'm thinking the Khepri. A nice level Khepri, you just 2 someone, they're slowed for 2.5 seconds for 30%, and then his 1 is a grab, so the duration of the CC lasts the entire duration. In Smite, there's a thing called diminishing returns on CCs, where let's say I hit someone with a 1 second stun. The next time I hit them with the stun again, if it's within 15 seconds, it will be a shorter duration, and that's to try and stop like CC chains where someone gets like locked down and can't move for like 15 seconds. So Gem of Isolation does apply a stack of DR, which is technically generally bad, but because it's a long CC, it's okay, and Khepri has an ability that ignores DR. So Gem of Isolation on Khepri might be pretty good this year. I don't think it's great on a lot of other abilities. It's to be very careful. Khepri has a lot of ways of proccing. That's why I think Khepri is the main god that I'm thinking of. Outside of that, Yemoja should be fairly good with it because she can proc from long range. So Yemoja and Khepri for that one for me. Magi's Cloak is just a better item. It's just better than last year. It's just a core item. CDR, more prots. It got less. It has health reduced from it, but a lot of these items up here all have health, so you'll be fine on HP. So Magi's just better as well. Emperors. These two so far are the worst items. These items have got nerfed the most. So the reason why Emperors was strong last year was because of two things: the cheap cost, and if you were behind the enemy team, even if they build Emperors, your Emperors is better. It was so much better defensively that it almost felt like buying an Emperors because they bought Emperors felt horrible. Like imagine being the lead and you had a 1.5k gold on enemy support and they build an Emperors and then so you have to. And it's like, it just doesn't feel nice, you know? Like, you want to be holding your starters, you're ahead, but you have to build Emperors, otherwise you can't siege. The 250 gold increase, it doesn't seem like a lot, but if that's like a minute of farming, that's a minute, that's a minute of fighting, and that could be an objective, especially with the shortened objective cooldown in Smite now, reduced in Conquest. So it's definitely got a lot worse, and then obviously it's 40% on reducing structures, I think. So it's better from better from ahead, worse from behind, because you can now build it from ahead. So a weird item. I don't think it's going to be seeing as much play. I think items like, we're going to be looking at a few items here, but I don't think it's going to be seeing play in Season 10. Next up is Contagion. Contagion is just really broken right now. I am not building it because I know it's going to get nerfed. It's very Mickey, but it's really good. It's really good. It's just whenever someone hard CCs you, whenever someone CCs you, I think, it applies a mystical mail on them, basically. So it hits their team as well. The amount of times I've played against a support versus support matchup and been hit for 500, and I press tab and I'm like, where's my HP gone? And I look and it's just like a Contagion hitting me for 60 times, and I'm thinking, well, you don't even notice it. It's like someone tickling you and eventually just burn through your skin or something. Great item. Not a first item, but after, again, like my general rule is going Cloak or Thieves first, or Magi's, or one of these items. It's a great second item. On a warrior, I could definitely see myself going Runeforge into Contagion, into Wingbit, stuff like that. You can go it as a second, third, fourth item very easily. Oni's just got a nice buff. It just got 50 health removed and another 4%. Sorry, another 3% maximum mitigation. It's fine. It's good with Spirit's Rope. I mean, I like that as a combo. 27% mitigation whenever you're getting engaged on by the enemy team. It is good. It's a very selfish item. I think if you look, I've got it on my general building, but I have it on certain gods like Artio and Bacchus and Cabrakan that need to get involved on the enemy backline and need to group and go in and be selfish. That's kind of where I like building it. Apart from those gods, Hercules is fine as well, especially mitigation with Cloak and with Spirit's Robe. Those are just examples where I like building it, but very strong item. Very good. Just doesn't nothing spectacular, but a great tank item. Spectral, I still think this item's shit, but I think this item's personally bad. Mathematically, it's bad. It feels horrible to build. However, if you're against 2 crit users, you need to buy Spectral. It's just a must-buy. If you're against a Mercury with the full rage, bloody 55 power, 45% crit chance, you have to build Spectral, which feels awful, but you're reducing their lifesteal, you're reducing the chance of them bursting you down in 1 CC combo. It's just something you have to do, unfortunately. Yeah, it got a bit better. But the problem with the passive is that they're giving added benefits to your team, whereas the Spectral buff they should have given is added benefits to the user. This doesn't really make sense. It just doesn't make. It's just I'm very biased against it. Anyway, those items I don't. Oh, I leave them on stream. I'll leave them on screen actually. Maybe I'll just put them here. I'll put them all over here just because they're not talking about those anymore. I don't know if people like these scuffed kind of content things where I just ramble for a little bit, but I just thought I'd make some content because I've had a lot of people come into my stream recently asking like, oh man, like why do you build that item? Why do you build that item? I'm thinking, well, you know, give a bit of logic behind it. I'm going to make an item tails at some point, but it's kind of hard to do. So let's start off with the new tree in Smite, which is, I think it's like a bruiser tree in my opinion. All these items basically give the same amount of protections and health. It's about 40 of both prots and about 300 health. That's what I think it is. I know it's that for this item and this item, I think. It's definitely this item, but they're all very similar in stats-wise. Smite's change in Season 10 was to kind of remove the bruiser stats from items and give them bruiser passives, so you're not like doing high base damage. And all these items are really, really good in their own way, and they're all really cool. These are the coolest thing about Season 10, in my opinion. So the first one's Binding. Now, Binding is a weird item, where before it was a tier 2 item, one of the only ones left in the game, and it used to just shred 10 prots. The problem with the shredding of Binding is that it started right at the start of the protection shred chain for some reason. It was like bugged in a way, and they just kept it in. So what happens is most times in Smite, if a tank's got 300 HP and the carry's got 30% physical penetration and 25 flat pen, they would ignore 30% of the 300 and then minus 25, and that would be their total prots that the tank has, like for them. Binding applied first. So if someone had 300 prots, they reduce it to 290. So it would, and then it would go to the calculator afterwards. So it would be 10 prots reduced, and it would end up being about 7 because it wasn't very efficient. And so it's weird to spend 1.7k gold on that. Now they've changed it where it scales to 25 prot shred late game. And even when you buy it early on, it's still about 11 or 12 usually when you get it online, which makes it really efficient. The stats are really good. The tier 1 is 15 of each prots and 50 health. That feels fantastic to build in lane. The tier 2 is not that bad. I think it's like 25 each, something like that. It's very mediocre, but it's 1.4k gold, so it's quite a nice back. Like if you can buy anything around like between 1.4k and 1.2k and 1.4k, those are like a nice numbers because that's like 3 or 4 minutes of farming, and then the passive is insane. Like, and it also applies on any CC, by the way. On a pillar, 6-second shred, 6-second pen shred. You know what I'm saying? There's like a lot of stuff that you could pick up there. I love this item a lot. It's really good. It's just if you're like, oh, what should I build? Just buy Binding. Buy Binding. It's just a great item. It just works so well at carrying games, and it's just great. You'll see it a lot in the SPL, and it's just a good item anyway for ranked. Next up, these items are a little bit more difficult. Binding is like a pick it whenever you want. These items are a little bit more weird. Okay, so Abyssal Stone is an item that whenever you hit an enemy god, you reduce their CDR by 20%. Okay, so the way to think about this is numbers, in my opinion. Let's say that you're against a god that has these cooldowns. They have, you see here, maybe it's a bit too small, but they have a 10-second first ability, 10-second second, 10-second third, and a 90-second ult. And you hit them with a bit, and then you hit them with Abyssal Stone. They go to 12, 12, 12, and is it 108? 108. Now, you might be thinking like, oh, that doesn't look that good, but man, if you're hitting people constantly and increasing their cooldowns, that is very efficient. That's very efficient. So what this means is that you want to build this item against people that need cooldowns. So I'm not speaking about people like your ADCs, like let's think about any traditional ADC, let's say like, I can't think of a traditional ADC, just Chernobog, Apollo, all these gods that just are very, very, they just auto and they kill you, or they can kill you. I'm speaking about the Ullers, the ones that need this inherent CDR in their kit. Ullers always build 40% CDR on their kit, and the reason why is because when they switch stances and use abilities, it reduces their cooldown further. So by increasing their cooldowns, you're making their passive worse. It feels terrible for them, and so if you're diving them, you're increasing their escape cooldown, you're increasing their ability cooldowns. This item is very, very underrated right now. I'm almost certain this item is a top tier item, but the numbers, but you can't really feel the impact of it. So one Abyssal Stone god I like building this against is Freya as well. Freya is very 1-2 focused. That's all she's ever got in her kit. You apply Abyssal Stone, that's like an extra 2 or 3, maybe even more. I think she's got 11 or 12 cooldown on her 1 and 2. That's another 3 seconds where she's doing nothing. And for a god like Freya who has no traditional escape apart from her ult, that is really, really impactful. So look for comps with ability hunters and ability magical ADCs that kind of struggle. Or maybe like a double mage comp or something. That's when Abyssal Stone's really good. And then last one is Archer's Fury. This item has already been nerfed. This item is the stats are the same as before. The passive is just like whenever you take, I believe it's 5% of your health, you get 1 stack, and for each stack, it's like 50. It's a 50 damage increase on your next auto on an enemy god, and it stacks 6 times. So it can go up to 300 damage. 300 damage is a lot, but it's not true damage. It's going to get mitigated, and with every tank building an aura item this year, it'll go down to about 250 or something. But it is a good item. I just think it's the worst one of the 3, and I don't think you have room for all 3 of these because you've got stuff like Magi, you've got your starter, Thebes, Magi's, and like I said, with me I always say, Divine Rune's a core item. It's Smite or Reaver. One of those 2 items in tank in support every game. I've got a video coming out later today on the 30th of January with Umoja that's going to show you why you need to build those items. Anyway, this item I think is probably best on a god like Atlas, where it also works with his passive, where when you're taking damage and getting evolved, it also enhances your auto. Atlas passive to my mind is it does 8. So every time you get Atlas just autos normally, right? And then when he builds up a bunch of energy from getting hit, his next auto is like a big like a big slam down thing. It does 160 base damage extra, and your auto does an extra 1.5 times base damage. And if you've got an Archdruid Fury proc, we're talking like a 500 damage auto there. So if you're autoing, 3ing, that's like a 1,000 damage combo straight up, and it can catch people off guard. So Archdruid Fury, I would say this is good on Atlas. Apart from that, I wouldn't build it. Very cool item, but it's maybe on Warriors it's okay as well. Like a Hercules, who gets involved and just a little auto, weave it in, 300 damage. It could be fine on that, but I wouldn't build on a lot of Guardians apart from that. So maybe it's more Warrior based overall. Anyway, that's those 3 items done. I love that tree though. It's one of my favorite trees. Okay, I'm going to talk about the shit items next. Okay, these items are just bad. This item is a weird item that relies you to be around waves all the time. The stats are very poor. It's like 30 of each prots and a little bit of health. They're the same as these, but the passive is that you give your ally bonus gold when you're splitting a wave. The problem with that is that you're giving them bonus gold, but you're still splitting XP. The only way this item would ever be efficient in Smite is if the gold was extremely egregious, or if you were freezing every wave. Now, freezing every wave is not going to happen. People get too bored. Maybe in pro play we see a bit of play from this item, but it's just not good right now. The passive's just terrible. Doesn't scale well late game. Phalanx, I've not built either of these items at all. Honestly, if you put a gun to my head and said what are their stats, I wouldn't know. I didn't check beforehand because I know these items are bad. This item boosts minions or something. It's a very solo lane based item. I think it's only physical protections. I don't think it's very good. Very rarely are minion boosty items ever good because the laning phase is usually slow, usually short. It's a little bit longer this year, but you don't need it. I mean, when you get a lead, the time doesn't do anything for you. If you're behind, they're clearing your minions anyway. So what are you buffing? It's not a good item. Contagion Club is just the generic version of what used to be Cactus Shield last year or Caduceus Shield last year, which was good, and now they've changed it into a stat stick rather than a bruiser item. This passive is just not that good. Think about gods like Heals with Hercules and Horus, gods like Umoja. The thing with heals from support is that we don't build any power, so they don't scale very well. So the percentage increase we're giving ourselves isn't that great. Like increasing 10 by 15%, it's only 1.5 extra, right? Whereas if a Ra's healing for 100 every tick of his 3, and you're increasing it by 15%, well, now you're thinking it's extra 15. It's a lot better. But I wouldn't build this. It's just not that great. Just don't build that in. Let's talk about these 4, and then we're done. We're done with the video. I'm getting on a little bit, just blabbering on. Okay, this item is super interesting. Absolution gives you a proc after your ult's finished casting. It gives you CC immunity for 0.6 seconds, and your team as well. So imagine basically, but after you ult, in a circle around you, it drops a Chiron 1 cleanse. Which doesn't, it's kind of weird. Like, why is that good? Well, It's very similar to Wingblade, where it gives you a bit of counterplay without having to use relics. You get 6 items in Smite. You only get 2 relic slots. So if you're against a Cupid and you had to build Sprint, that's half your relic slots gone, right? But instead, now you can build Wingblade, and that's only 1/6 of your items gone. You see? And it's same for Absolution. So there's a matchup which is Terra into Ares, and Ares could just randomly ult the Terra, force a beads, and then alter again. Sometimes you wouldn't even go beads and Terra, because why do you want to go beads? Fuck that, it's boring. Now with Absolution, you can go Thebes into Absolution. Okay, be careful of the ADCs and stuff, because it only gives magical protection. But if the Ares have ult you, you can just cleanse the Ares ult for you and your team. And now he's Terra ulted, and as long as you're walking forward and going on him, he has no ult. You have Terra ult on all of you. That's never a good trade. I think this item's great. I think it works really well for gods like Atlas and Terra, and especially. I didn't think about Atlas until some guy from YouTube said that, so shout out to that guy. Definitely good on those characters that have bad matchups into gods with CC hard CCs into them. We're talking about and you want to have it against a god with a slow CC rate, because you're not going to be immune like Ymir freeze, even though it's very hard. I mean, unless you're a sick player, it's very hard to react to those kind of CCs where you're preemptively ulting. Because if you mess up the timing of it, you waste your ult and you waste your Absolution. If you miss timing of it, then you just waste your ult. So it's very it's a hard item to use. But Atlas and Terra specifically, I think it's really good on. Definitely a nice item to build second or third. Heroism. This is just the starter upgrade from Benevolence. In my guide here, you can see there's not a lot of Compassion. There is a lot of Sentinels. We only have 2 gods with Benevolence so far. Benevolence does have the best upgrades late game. I agree. It has Compassion and now Heroism, which gives you a shield like the old Heroes Axe used to do. The problem with these items is that the state of support right now, in my opinion, kind of rewards building items like Binding, Divine, Thebes, Cloak. I think you lack the protections late game for yourself. Heroism does not give good stats. Does it give any stats, if anything? I need to. I'll cut the video and I'll talk about it for a second. But Compassion only gives magical protections. These builds are never low on magical prots. It's never low on magical prots. So you got to be careful. Physicals are strong right now. Junglers and ADCs are strong right now. So having that physical protections are kind of important in my opinion. But it's a very strong passive. Very, very strong passive. But I'm not building Benevolence that much, so it's hard to use. But this item works great. It's it's just good against, for example, like an Odin 3, just random range poke they're trying to do. It'll just stop it on your carries. It's great for dive, great for peeling against dive. Finally, we've got these 2 items. Breastplate of Regrowth is fucking insane. It's dead cheap. It's got 55 prots. It's got CDR on it. It's got HP 5 in it. It's got a sick passive. My word, this item makes Hercules really, really good. I didn't put Hercules on my tier list the other day. He would be, not S, he's an A character. This item alone, second, makes a lot of gods good. We're talking about the Artios, the Hercules. Hercules is the Bacchus as well now. Don't forget his buff on his 1. Means he gets to heal now and run around like just a drunk guy on a scooter. He's just fast. A sick item. If you've got inherent heals in your kit, have a go about thinking about this. One little weird way to think about Smite is the best way to be tanky in Smite is by getting hit by nothing. And movement speed does make people miss more. Even at top level, the faster you are, you can't hit anything. So it does make you a lot tankier than you think. Even though it is 55 procs already, but it'll make you way tankier than that as well if you're juking abilities and stuff. Very, very sick item. One of the best, in my opinion, from this year. And we've got Dawnbringer. Very weird item. Not the best stats, but a very interesting passive. It gives you increased power and protections by 5% for every enemy god. Is it after your ult's finished casting? It's after your ult's finished casting. Decent physical prots, decent health, fine CCR. It's okay. This item works very well. 5th, 6th item where you're starting to get a bunch of prots online. You've maybe got like 1. The thing is, the power increase doesn't really matter. because you're not building items like it's not last year. Last year you could get a lot of power and protections in both builds. You could be an Achilles with 300 power and 300 of each prots. This item could work well on him, but the problem is you're not going to be wasting Achilles ult to get involved because it's just not efficient. So you want to be having it. You want to be building it on gods like Mulan. You blink Mulan ult in. You're tanky as hell. You're doing a lot of damage. This is where I can start seeing it getting some use. I don't really know if it's that good. I think it's maybe a little bit meh. Just because it's percentage based, and prots are fine, but prots being increased by percentages at some point is very inefficient when people are building 40% penetration and executioner and stuff like that. But it's a very good like 4th, 5th item in my opinion on warrior supports that you can build. Not Horus, but like Hercules, Mulan, Fenrir. Completely fine on Fenrir actually, probably one of the better ones. There might be a combo with Dawnbringer and Pridwin where you increase your prots. We need to test that actually. We need to test that because there might be something interesting. But anyway, that is just a little video about the new items. I just blabbered about them, but I hope it was interesting enough. Yeah, I'll do an item tailor soon, I suppose. There's a lot of items in Smite to do with tanks and stuff, but I just thought I'd give my thoughts on the new items and when you should build them, and etc. Also, don't forget, guys, this guide is free. It should be in the description below. It's got what you should be doing in support, all stages in the game. It's got a ward map. It's got a tier list. It's got a build for every god that I recommend. Now these are personalized. This Shimoja build is not for the weak. Okay, it gives there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I'm uploading videos with all the builds pretty much. It's got how like where they're good early, where they're good in lane, if they're good late, how you want to play. There's a lot of stuff in this guide, a lot of information to take in. So I'd recommend using this guide as much as you can. I'm trying to set up a Smite terms thing as well. If there's anything you don't know and you'd like it to be put in here, I'm just working on it. I'm working on this guide. It'll be done in the next couple of weeks, and it'll be done for the 10.2 patch, which is coming out on Feb 1st. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know if I'm fucking anything up with this YouTube stuff, or if it's too long, too short. I don't care. Just give me feedback. All right, thanks for watching. See you around.